Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be carrying on with I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Been a few days since I played this. Trying to remember where we were. I think I'm kind of at the point of not really going to a lot of education classes anymore. I kind of want to work towards building a cure, well, not building, developing a cure for the shimmer, the kind of like super hay fever that our dad gets in, what's it called? I don't know what I can't remember what the first season's called. Pollen, perhaps. So that's definitely something I want to work on. And someone in the comments, it was on possibly on video number 6 or 7. This is going to be episode number 9, but I had already filmed it by the time they made this comment. But they said that it's worth getting to know. I can't remember her name now. Mars. It's worth getting to know Mars a bit better because she's apparently all right. She's not too bad. She can actually be quite sweet, apparently, when you get to know her a bit more. Our relationship with her is absolutely terrible, so it's going to be a bit of work to get it up again. If I can't use kudos to buy more food, what is the point of being rich? Mars complains. You can see why it's going to be quite hard to get to know her better. She rocks back on her heels and puts her hands on her hips. Why can't we nanoprint organic material yet? Aren't we living in the future? Just give me my future food. So we need persuasion of 20 to start, winning her cards and getting to know her a bit better that way. Our persuasion is currently 6. So that's something we need to work on. I haven't really found a good way to level up persuasion, hence it being so low. I guess we could have a look at something. I don't know if maybe teaching a class might possibly work. Let's see if we can give her a gift, though. I got a lot of these. Maybe she'd like this. +2 friendship. Good. Has that made any difference to our... Oh, it has half a heart, I think. She holds the flower up to look at it. A flower. A cheap gift, but I suppose it will look good in my hair. Thank you. We've learned that Mars likes yellow flowers. Let's check it... let's check in at the classroom. And just see what we get for tutoring kids. Reasoning, which we're reasonably high on. Empathy... pretty low one. Kudos, I'm not that bothered about. We have more good gear cards than I have ability to spend to equip. We've still only got the one open slot. Oh, let's go to engineer. Oh, no, just... What's this thing? Oh, no, humanities does persuasion. That's interesting. I can't, however... Oh, it pushes to 100. But it'll just force a rest day, which we'd have to do anyway, so let's do it. I want to get persuasion up. I want to get to know Mars a bit better. You're running late for humanities class. When you arrive, everyone is gathered in the beanbags around the room's big holoprojector. Ship's computer congruence is displayed on it. She's giving today's lesson, reading an old book of Earth poetry. You sit down next to Tang and nudge her in motion. What's up with this? Tang frowns at you. Where have you been? She whispers. Ever since Professor Hal died, Congruence has been teaching this class. Then she frowns at everything in general. They said everyone else who might be qualified is too busy, and no, they didn't ask me. I miss Professor Hal. You try to get your voice down, but Congruence literally has ears everywhere. I miss Professor Hal as well, she says, her monitor swinging over to you. He was a very special human. Wait, you ask out loud. Congruence can like people? Of course I can like people, she replies. There's humour in her, not a voice. I carried you inside me for 20 years after all. How could I not get attached? I'm guessing she means the ship. Wow, look at our friendship with Tang. That's actually pretty healthy. Tangent and Chief Engineer Instance have been hard at work in the lab trying to find a cure for the shimmer disease. Oh, this is actually what I wanted to do, so that's cool. You join them in their research. You're the one who found a sample of the shimmer fungus and analysed it. You're the one whose father suffers the most from it. You confirm that the shimmer is an airborne fungal disease, and that the thick, choking spores in pollen are the same fungi from the Valley of Vertigo, the ones that colonize the host and turn their bodies into more spore-producing fungus. Finally, you have a long-due breakthrough. Sunlight! You try inoculations, antibiotics, antifungal creams, but what finally works is a high-intensity light treatment mimicking the full force of the sun's during dust, coupled with an injection to increase its potency. Of course! Tang exclaims. The fungus colonizes animal life during pollen, and some succumb to it, but the intense light of dust scourges the fungus from the survivors. It's all part of the natural cycle. The treatment works on samples, now to test it on a subject. Not going to test it on Dad. Could test it on ourselves. Bravery 10. To test it on an animal. I'm going to test it on ourselves. I mean, human testing is probably required, and what better than a volunteer? You open a triple-locked research room and pass through an airlock. You don't have your enviro suit on, but that's the point. You need a strong dose of this fungus in your lungs. The small room is filled with the shimmer fungus. It's growing on everything. The floor and walls, and on lumpy shapes that were some kind of biological matter once. Now it's all just fungus, violet and shiny. You breathe deeply, marvelling in the feeling of soupy, dangerous air infiltrating your body. Tang watches safely from behind the thick plexiglass. You can't tell if she's jealous or impressed. Oh, we actually reduced a bit of stress. Next, you slide into the light therapy machine to bask in the nice warm light for a while. You even have a nap. Dr. Instance takes your vitals and runs samples of your fluids through various machines. She's excruciatingly thorough, but after a few days she concludes that the treatment is a success. You still carry a high fungal load, but its effects have been nullified by the light therapy. The shimmer cure. All casts to the right become blue. That could be pretty good. Got an achievement for that as well. Remarkable, Instance says, going over your findings. Now that we have a frontline therapy, we can begin treating the population to prevent the fungus from taking hold. She looks over at Tang. Solana's discovery will be of great help with our other research. You expect Tangent might be cross that you got the credit, but she nods, looking pleased. You're just thankful that no one was killed, not your father or anyone else. The colony is safe from the shimmer. Hey. That's not bad, huh? Okay, let's see what we got. So, just one thing. One card slot gets +2. Bonus to straights. Okay. So that would be 4. Maybe we could reset it to 2. There you go. Now what have we got? We've got 3, 4, 5. So we could go 2, 3, 4, 5. Why did that become 3 as well? Oh, I see. Well, we might as well. Seems alright. Yeah, we got 3 stars. Good. Oh, I was going to say 5 persuasion. It was 2 persuasion, 5 creativity, which we're also pretty low on. Plus 15 stress. Only puts us at 95, though, because we obviously lost 5 stress while we were doing that research. That's cool. Oh, I'm pleased with that. Well, we're going to need to rest now, and then it's going to be into glow, isn't it? Which is a bit of a drag. Let's see if I can give another gift to Mars. Our Mars mission. Oh no, we can only do it so often. Mars clutches her stomach and acts faint. I'm starving, she whines. Don't they see I'm literally wasting away here? You would offer a protein bar, but she'd probably just complain that she's been reduced to taking charity, so you just keep it to yourself. It's too soon. Yeah, it just says it's too soon. Okay. I thought maybe as it was a different month it would be alright, but maybe it's once per season or even once per year. I've no idea. Wait, the question is, where do we want to rest? We're resting here. Wouldn't mind building up a bit of friendship with Cal if we're resting here. That's just a -100 stress. Is there a resting activity that provides a bit more than that? Yeah, if we rest on the walls, we actually get +1 friendship with Dis, so I think I'm going to do that. You're enjoying some quiet time on the walls when you look down and see a group of school children on a field trip outside the walls. Wait, are you missing a field trip? Oh, maybe you are missing something by doing all your schoolwork up here alone. I don't really want to lose either of those. How are we doing with this? Hard to tell from there. It's been 3 seasons of heavy food rationing, getting more and more strict as the year dragged on and the fields continue to struggle. You've been wasting away. You all have. It's not just the lack of calories. There just aren't enough vitamins and good stuff in the food you are eating. Oh wow, we're hit with 70 stress again. Your muscles ache all the time. Sometimes you feel strangely euphoric, filled with inexplicable energy, but often it feels like there are weights tied to your shoulders pulling you down. You don't have the energy to do it anymore. Even the prospect of getting up to find food feels like too much effort. Better just to lie down and accept it. Despite being so tired, you can't fall asleep. You spend entire days in a dazed fog. It's hard to tell dreams from reality. Last week, you were brushing your teeth when you noticed that some of your teeth were wiggling. You brushed and watched all of your teeth begin to fall out of your mouth, clinking into the sink like pebbles and washing down the drain. Horrified, you started screaming, only to snap out of it and realise you'd been staring at yourself in the mirror the whole time, lost in a hallucination. Your friends stop working and retreat to their quarters. You just lie to each other on the holonet, all saying you're okay, just taking it easy, waiting for the harvest. Well, the harvest came and went, as meagre as ever. I thought we did quite well finding food this year, though. Your mother still hasn't given up and never rests, never stops working, as much as your dad begs her to. She must be sleeping in geoponics because you hardly see her in the family quarters anymore. From where you lie nestled in bed, in your cosy fugue, it all seems like far, far too much effort to bother with. Let's drag our butt out of bed. You try, but end up collapsing off your bunk. You barely have the energy to climb back up into bed. You don't feel pain or fear, just a strong urge to lie there and stare at a poster of a pink cat on the wall, which you do for hours. You're pretty sure that behind those yellow disc eyes it's trying to tell you something about the nature of the universe, the cycles of space and time. Have you been here before, or is this the first time? Your mum comes to your bedside and tries to feed you some of her rations. She looks like hell, sallow-eyed and gaunt, but she refuses to stop working. She says she can't keep the rations down anyway. They upset her stomach. "Please, Solana," she whispers. "Please eat." +2 to all other cards. I mean, that feels pretty good, doesn't it? I'm going to take that. But we did lose 5 oh, more toughness gone. You stoically turn your nose up at your mum's rations, not sure you could stomach them anyway. You don't remember much for the next week, except those all-knowing yellow eyes staring down from the poster on your wall, and your parents coming and going, trying to get you to eat. Too weak to protest anymore, you eventually accept the extra rations. It's a relief when your head clears and you can walk again, but your mother still refuses to eat. Both of your parents feel responsible for this famine, but as head of geoponics, your mum takes it personally. She's been skipping meals, relying on water and pressed soy bar rations. Just enough calories to keep her body moving, but not enough to stay healthy. Yet she never lets up working herself to the bone, barely even sleeping, increasingly sallow-eyed and gaunt. You and your dad try to slow her down, but, well, she's a stubborn woman. If not her, she says, then who? You and your dad are in the lounge, slowly sipping your vegetable broth, when there's a commotion at the doors. Someone's run in, gasping for breath, yelling for you and your father to come to geoponics. You run over, knowing in the pit of your stomach that something terrible has happened. When you see the faces of the agriculturists, your mum's people, you know that feeling is real. Your dad sees the body first. Ooh. He lets out a cry, like something you've never heard before. A deep, unimaginable pain, dragged up from the darkest parts of where fear lives. Oh, has our mum died? Ooh. Your dad falls to his knees beside the frail body of your mother. He pulls her into his arms and sobs, wretched and agonized. Oh dear. don't even know what to think. Your mum always seemed larger than her body, but seeing her now, there's nothing there. Just a fragile shell. They tell you she didn't even cry out. She just went to her knees and then lay down in the dirt. And that was it. Oh dear, she's gone. We're now in mourning. All skill increases reduced by 1 for 3 months, and some jobs and actions can't be performed. Wow, this is... I don't know if this is down to my choices or whether this is all scripted, this famine and death and stuff. If it's down to my choices, I'm feeling terrible about it. Your mother's body is taken to the incinerator room, and that night the colony gathers to pay their respects. Do you join them? Yes, I think we're going to attend the funeral. It's difficult, but you've got it, haven't you? Like Tammy's funeral, the incinerator room has been cleared and a wreath of flowers placed over the mouth of the organics recycler. Their white astrantia, your mother's favourite flower, carefully carried from Earth with the hopes of it flourishing on Vertumna, just like you. You stand with your father and Aunt Anne. Udico, did I say it was... Yeah, Udicott, and the rest of the council are here as well, including Rhett. You're surprised to see tears rolling down his face. He's such a hard-ass in the garrison. Cal is here with all the other agriculturists. The rest of the colony waits in the canteen to offer their condolences after the service. Governor Udico gives the eulogy. As a colony, we share our blessings, she begins solemnly. However, today, in sad company, we gather to share the burden of our grief. Fluorescent was born on Earth. That's the first time we've heard her full name. Our dad just calls her Flulu. Fluorescent was born on Earth, but she, more than many of us, exemplified the spirit of our endeavour to bring life to beyond the stars. She bore life, not only in her body, but bringing it forth from the ground she so faithfully attended. The debt we owe to her is the kind that can never be repaid, she continues. It is with a deep and unbearable grief that we must continue on without her, in awe and respect for her sacrifice, the depth of which was never expected of her, but which she did not expect of anyone else. It is on her strong shoulders that she carries us, still. Udicott closes the door to the recycler, and the particle disintegrators begin to reclaim the molecules that once formed your mother. Your father squeezes your shoulder, making a small, choked-off noise of pain. As a community, we remember Fluorescent. As a community, we return her body to the soil that nourishes us. In this way, her sacrifice is recognized in the manifest body of the colony. The ceremony is adjourned to the canteen, where a somber wake is held in your mother's memory. There isn't enough food to dull the emotions, and your empty stomach only reminds you of her unfinished work. Your father is the new head of geoponics. In a few hours he receives your mother's remains so that he can add them to the colony's precious supply of brown soil from Earth. You touch the cool lid of the container, marvelling that your mother could fit in such a small box. You don't have to be okay, your dad says quietly. His voice is thick with emotion. I know I'm not. I have to keep going where she left off. But if you can, you should take some time off. We're going to take the month off. We're highly stressed. And now it's Glow. Wow, that was a big story beat. The prospect of just going back to work like everything is normal is too much to handle. The sun dips below the horizon and Glow begins. You end up spending the whole month alternating between sleeping, scrolling the holonet, and staring into space. It's restful, at least. A few days after the funeral, surveyors return with an unexpected bounty from the Valley of Vertigo. It's enough to survive for another month, until the new year maybe, if you keep rationing. The colony will continue to limp along, but without your mother. The roar wakes you. It would wake the dead. It shakes the walls, rumbles through the ship's hull and makes your heart skip a beat. You're paralysed by a sudden clench of fear in your gut. Through the porthole window you hear metal screeching and people shouting. Then another roar, guttural and rumbling like the sound of a mountain collapsing. Something enormous is out there. Well, we're going to run to face it like we always do. You don't know what gives you the courage, but you run out to the fields to face the horrible creature face to... Oh my god. What is that? It has no face. Gee willikers. In place of a face or even a head, its body just unzips, revealing a mess of writhing pink tentacles and blinking eyes, pocked with jagged, asymmetrical teeth. It stands on 4 enormously powerful legs, each as wide across as tree trunks. Clinging to its back and its thick, slug-like tail are clumps of lichen that grow faintly in the night. The creature is nearly twice the height of a greenhouse. It's standing on top of a flattened one, the wreckage of lattice and plants all around. Flickers of light from plas rifles and stun gloves light it from underneath, and the stench of ozone is thick in the air. You see an enemy and her brother Com darting in and around its legs with their twin shocks of red hair. The faceless creature lurches into another greenhouse, oblivious to the soldiers trying to herd it away. The monster left a trail of destruction from where it smashed right through the walls. Smaller creatures are pouring in through the gap and heading towards... They're heading straight to command. You watch helplessly as the hordes of animals storm command, sneaking through torn-away panels and smashing through windows. It's too far away to hear the screams, but Governor Udicott is inside. You have to do something. Someone's gonna die, aren't they? Whatever I do. Let's try and save the governor. The smaller creatures are making a beeline for command, slipping into the heart of the colony while the defence squad is distracted. The line of slinking, many-legged beasts pass by much easier targets, moving with eerie, almost tactical purpose. Whatever's happening, you have to stop them. The scene in command is chaos. The blast doors that would have protected the bridge from depressurization in space are held open by a mound of corpses, both human and animal. And inside you hear Governor Udicott screaming for someone to help her. And we're going to try. Goal 58 on 3 rounds, so that should be alright. What have we got? I think we'll do that. Alright. Let's save that for the last round. We do here. Quite a big hand here. Hope we can do it. I mean, it's a win. Why do you... How's that affect it? Still the same, I think. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. Not too bad. I think we're only 1 point off our max. You beat back enough beasts to help Udicott escape the bridge. As you shelter under a meeting room table, you hear horrible noises from the rest of the ship. Metal screeching, that terrible abomination roaring, the sounds of the creatures outside tearing their way through the hallways and trashing everything. Suddenly the ship lurches and drops a few feet, buckling under the weight of something massive. Out of the porthole window, you see a fleshy pink tentacle slap against the side of the ship before the faceless abomination outside crashes to the ground, taking the entire outer wall of the ship with it. Udicott sobs quietly into her hands in the sudden silence. You wait a long time until congruence gives you the all clear. Who's going to die? It's probably Com. Alright. The council calls an all-colony meeting to face the aftermath of the attack. In the oppressive gloom of Glow, you gather near engineering with the other survivors. It's one of the few buildings still standing. The corpse of the Faceless still sits in the caved-in wreckage of the stratospheric, spilling its flaccid pink tentacles from its horrible zipper-toothed maw. It's already beginning to stink. At least the governor survived. Governor Udicott takes the stage and thanks you personally for rescuing her during the attack. Because of your bravery, the colony still has its leader. She also acknowledges the bravery of the defense squad, citing their heroism in finally taking down the Faceless. If only it hadn't gone away from them and stampeded right into the stratospheric. At least they stopped it before it got into engineering, as it would have activated the reactor and left a crater the size of an asteroid impact. Geoponics is gone. The greenhouses destroyed and fields trampled. After a year of suffering, starving, and only barely scraping by, you're not just back where you started. It's even worse. Everything your mum sacrificed herself for, gone in one night. The entire front half of the stratospheric has been destroyed. The living quarters, the canteen, the garrison, the lounge, even the creche. It's all gone. It's only by some stroke of luck that people hiding in the creche weren't all killed. Governor Udicott solemnly reads the names of those who lost their lives. Too many. You all stand for a moment of silence. You feel the weight of loss like a blow to your chest. Oh, I knew Com was gonna die. An enemy and her family cry out when her brother Com's name is called, and their quiet sobbing continues through the silence. With the living quarters destroyed, everyone moves into the engineering wing for shelter. You're crowded into the classroom with other families. The adults try to make it seem like a sleepover, but you're all still so shaken. An enemy cries about her brother and screams at anyone who tries to comfort her. Eventually you just ignore her grief, as painful as it is to hear her sobbing at night. Yeah, I mean, even as I was making that choice, I knew that whoever I didn't go and save or help was gonna croak. I just thought the governor, as old as she is, was probably more of use to the colony. Still morning. You feel like you've been awake for days, and you'll never fully sleep again. You try, but you keep jerking awake, crying out in fear. Eventually you fall asleep sitting up, held in your father's arms. Your sleep is fitful, but mercifully dreamless. God, at this point I just don't see how this colony is going to survive. We've got no food. Got nothing. Oh, what have we got here? Can't do physical tasks. Morning, so all our increases go down. We do at least get +1 to physical skill increases. Oh God, let's have a look around the wrecked colony. That's where the stuff was. This is where the bridge was. It's absolutely trashed. There's our dad. I will talk to Dad in a minute. It's going to be quite a sad conversation, isn't it? I suppose. It's been hard to talk to your mum. It's been hard to talk to your dad about everything. Losing your mum, then losing the colony right after, it's too much to take. Neither of you know what to say. It was a short conversation. I know it's hard, Cal says, fiddling nervously with a tassel on his shirt. But I just think, what would your mum do right now? She wouldn't complain, that's for sure. She wouldn't shout at me. Dis is examining a piece of rubble, turning it over in his hands. I wonder if we're ever going to find, like, alien tech, he says. Wouldn't that be cool? I suppose it would. We've still got that cave, haven't we, that we found that we had to leave. Hang on. Apologies for dog barking. Let's thank the kids. Alright. What's Mars got to say? Mars crosses her arm and sulks. What is the point of having all these kudos if I can't actually use them to, like, buy stuff we need? Like, hello? It's not like I can mail order some supplies through the She's very difficult to like, Mars. Tangent frowns. I just don't understand, she says. Why now? Why does it keep getting worse? Oh, that's gone as well. Enemy's probably not going to be around to talk to. If we go into engineering, what's here? Engineering is crammed with families and what belongings they've salvaged from the destroyed living quarters. You could spend time in your crowded temporary lodging in the classroom, or help the adults try to fix things. If we mourn, what happens? We lose stress and a memory. We're not stressed. Rebuild. Toughness. Organising. Maybe. I want to see if I can go on expeditions, though. Oh. No. We cannot. So I guess our choices are rebuild or rest. We don't need to rest. So, okay, let's help with the rebuilding efforts, I guess. The first month of quiet passes, each day plodding one after the other. You still have trouble sleeping in the classroom barracks, but there's nowhere else to go. Every day you wake with the others and try to make the best of it. Grief and anger come in waves, not just for you, but for everyone. Some days are better than others. You're assigned to help rebuild the walls. The first part of the month is spent just dragging away the wreckage, sorting it into salvage or recycling. By the time that's done, crews disassembling parts of the stratospheric have delivered enough salvage that you can begin work, patching up the walls. A sense of urgency permeates the crew. After everything, people need to feel safe. And Dis is on the work crew with you, something he does begrudgingly. Walls didn't help the first time, he grumbles whenever anyone asks for his opinion. We should just tear them all down and live like the animals do. If someone planted a bunch of buildings on my land, I'd be pissed off too. I mean, they are attacking us, and they're doing it for a reason. Maybe he's right, this is pointless. Oh no, we're almost fully rebellious now. You don't go so far as to sabotage the walls, but you certainly don't contribute. You and Dis drag your feet, sulking any time someone tells you to work harder. Surprisingly, you don't get in trouble. You're just kids, after all. No one expects you to get back to work right away after a huge trauma, like losing your home, or a parent. Okay, we only need 28, so this is going to be pretty easy. No, we'll do that. So that's right on the money. +2 bonus to pairs. Maybe I should try and do more pairs. If we did that. Oh, all of the red cards. I guess. Oh, so we've got 2. Get some toughness back, we've been losing that. The sun's finally dawn again on your birthday. You wake early and climb to the top of engineering to watch the first sun's watery rays break the horizon as the wormhole recedes across the sky. Dawn should represent hope after a long period of darkness, but this light only reveals the full extent of the damage to the colony. You've been having trouble sleeping like most people. It's hard to find rest, crammed into the classroom with all the other kids and their families. And every time you close your eyes, you shake your head to clear the memories. You pull your blanket more tightly around your shoulders, not your blanket, that one's gone, and stare out as the sun rises on the horizon, meagre and sickly. Hey, kiddo, you hear, then your dad comes and sits down beside you. I was looking for you. Nice view, huh? At least we got a rooftop patio out the dale. He laughs a little at his own joke, then sort of trails off with a sigh afterward. He puts his arm around your shoulders and you sit in silence for a while, watching the sunrise pick out all the broken glass littering the fields, glimmering like a field of stars. Neither of you really know what to say. It's clear your dad feels like he has to give you a pep talk, but there's an oppressive nature to the silence that makes it feel impossible for either of you to start. Eventually he just sighs and his shoulders slump. I know things seem pretty bad right now, he says, squinting into the sunrise. It sounds like it's taking all his effort to not cry, but it'll get better. It has to, right? You're not so sure. At least your mum wasn't here to say this, he mutters. That's the silver lining, I guess. You watch the sunrise together for a few more minutes. After a bit, your dad musters up a brave smile and pulls out a little box tied with a piece of gardening twine. Happy birthday, my little rutabaga, he says. Oh, he's improved the sun medallion. Seems pretty good. You know what it is before you open it. Your old medallion, the one your dad made with the sun on it to represent Earth, was broken during the attack. In all the chaos, you didn't even notice, but your dad did, and made you a new one. It's just like you remembered. A similar design with a wormhole this time to represent Vertumna. You thank him and squint out at the swirling wormhole still barely visible in the brightening sky. It's so massive and awe-inspiring this time of year, but it always seems to herald disaster. You're happy to watch it fade away into the daylight. Your dad slaps you on the back. What a birthday, huh? Here's hoping they all get better from here. You both head back downstairs to the wreckage of the canteen, where they've put up a temporary roofing with whatever tarps and scraps could be found. The colony nanoprinters, the few that still run, have been working day and night to replace the necessities of life, but larger construction projects are going to take some time. Aunt Anne has coaxed the kitchen nanoprinters into making soy gruel and pressed bars. Life-sustaining, but depressing. You and the other colonists eat your breakfast in stony silence as you mentally prepare for the day. Governor Udicott looks more frail than you've ever seen her, but her eyes remain determined. Last week they held a mass funeral for everyone who died. There's talk of turning the Stratospheric's destroyed front half into a memorial shrine after everything useful has been salvaged. There's still so much to do. Okay, let's see if there's any difference to anything. Still looks pretty wrecked, doesn't it? No expeditions still. Got anything different to say? Dis is sitting on a pile of rubble looking out over the colony wreckage. He doesn't look particularly sad. What do you want? Hang on a minute, you're a best friend, Dis? Rude. I know it's hard. Cal says, I think we've seen that. We've seen that, yeah. Warada. No, still nothing new. He's just going to have to go and rebuild again. Maybe. This wretched planet, Mars grumbles, gazing at the wreckage of the Stratospheric. That was my ship! Tangent paces outside the engineering wing, the only building still standing. With everyone living in here, there's barely enough room to think. Right, well, can't do much. And I guess we're down to rebuilding again, probably. You're assigned to help out in geoponics. The agriculturists have been hard at work trying to salvage what they can of the ruined fields and the destroyed greenhouses, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Your dad has taken over as chief cultivator. Succeeding your mum was already difficult for him, and now there's this. He's never been the kind of guy to hide from hard work, but he's been pretty distant lately. Cal's working in geoponics too, of course. He smiles when he sees you. Hey Solana, there's lots of stuff to do. What do you want to work on? Let's repair the greenhouses. The geodesic domes, miraculous prefab modular structures your parents brought from Earth, are in shambles. Much of the glass and metal is beyond repair, destined for the recycler. You and Cal help clear away the debris, and when that's done you help drape tarps over what's still standing, so that the drifting spark snow doesn't pile up inside and affect the soil and acidity. Anything that can't survive outside a climate-controlled greenhouse needs to be harvested and sent to the kitchens, so that it can be preserved. Canning, jarring, dehydration, ancient techniques you've learned about in school but didn't think you'd have to put into practice so soon. Everyone is worried that this will be the final nail in the coffin for your food supply after the famine last year. You try not to think about it too hard, instead focusing on just doing what you can to help rebuild. Okay, this doesn't look too hard. What can we do? What if we do like a... goes up to 6 out of 5. I have 5. It's not too bad. 3 stars. Very good. You're eating in the mess tents when you hear something rumbling. Your bowl and cutlery start rattling. People look around in alarm. Could it be another attack? So soon? You begin to hear shouting from outside. Someone runs into the tent. There's something falling from the sky, they shout. It's on fire! You join the crowd of people leaving your temporary structures to gather in the colony square. People are squinting up into the milky, quiet sunlight, pointing and gesturing wildly. It's impossible to miss the thing hurtling towards you from space, like a great big ball of fire coming straight for you. Is this it? Is this the end? After all you've been through, a meteor's going to land in the middle of your already ruined colony and kill you all? Mars grabs your shoulder. It's another ship, she exclaims. Look, it's another spaceship from Earth. Excitement ripples through the crowd. Could it be? You stare up, unbelieving, at the rapidly approaching ship. The flames of its entry into the atmosphere dissipate, but a thick column of greasy black smoke trails behind it. Soon you can hear the whistle of it ripping through the atmosphere at terminal velocity. That is not a controlled descent. It's an enormous ship coming at you way too fast. The ship's reverse thrusters fire, trying to slow it down so it doesn't smash into a billion pieces when it hits the planet. Everyone scatters to take cover. You crouch behind some rocks, throw your arms over your head and squeeze your eyes shut. You hear the massive spaceship touch down in geoponics, ploughing through the fields and grinding over what was left of the greenhouses. You're thrown to the ground from the force of the impact as shrapnel and small rocks zing past your head. It grinds along like some roaring monster, cutting a great scar through the colony and kicking up an enormous cloud of dust. Finally, the ship comes to a creaking, shuddering halt. You and the other colonists carefully crawl out of your hiding places, coughing and rubbing your eyes. The new ship is half buried and obscured by dust, but you can tell it's from Earth. You squint to make out stenciled letters. Heliopause. A hatch opens in its side and silhouettes begin to emerge. Silhouettes with guns. Soldiers march out of the dust and quickly surround all of the remaining colonists. More soldiers form 2 parallel lines from the ship to the square, their guns in parade rest, and a lone figure strides down the centre towards you. "Greetings, fugitives of Earth," the man says, spreading his hands wide. A dismayed murmur ripples through the crowd. The adults exchange significant looks. Chief Engineer Instance tries to slip out of the crowd, but she's stopped by the line of soldiers. The man smiles. He has a broad, easygoing smile that doesn't match the threatening aura of the soldiers, nor the smoking ruin of the ship behind him. "I am Commander Lum," he says proudly. "As Captain of the Heliopause, I have come to render aid and bring you to justice." Let's listen. Udicott steps forward out of the crowd. "You're not the commander of the Heliopause," she says firmly. "Where is the person I was speaking to? Commander Morikawa." Everyone is surprised. Udicott has been in communication with this ship. For how long? "I am Captain of the Heliopause," Lum repeats stubbornly, then adds, "According to the chain of command, we sustained significant loss of personnel when we went through the wormhole." You can't help but notice many of the soldiers exchange looks this time. You wonder how many people had to die before Lum became commander. "As the commanding officer," Lum continues, "I declare this colony to be under our protection. As such, you are all now subject to the laws of Earth." "To be quite blunt, young man, it appears you need us as much as we need you," Udicott replies primly. "The Vertumnan colony, such as it is, offers our hospitality to our guests from Earth." Lum opens his mouth, but Udicott cuts him off. Now, there's no need for this posturing. Whatever the purpose of your mission here, you'll soon learn that on this side of the wormhole we are all human. Right now we need each other more than we need mandates from Earth." Udicott turns to the assembled colonists. "Effective immediately, I will be stepping down as governor and turning leadership of the council to Lum of the Heliopause," she says. She smiles genially at him. I hope that will satisfy your craving for justice, at least while we get our feet under us. Judging from the number of guns on display, you don't think you have a choice in this. No one knows how to react. A new governor from Earth? Nearly 100 new colonists, most of them trained soldiers. What does this mean for the colony? The crowd disperses slowly, and the council members follow Lum back into the heliopause, presumably to talk about the future of the colony. You hope. You track down your friends. So what do you think about these new people? Mars asks. They're just going to boss us around. Tangent nods. They don't live here. They don't know what it's like, and they're just going to swoop in and act like they're better than us? She hugs her arms around herself. Did you see what they were doing to Instance? The entire colony, now twice as many of you, sets to work on salvaging the wreckage of the heliopause, tearing it down and combining it with the Stratospheric's remaining engine section. Spirits are high, though these new colonists from the heliopause aren't like any people you've ever met before. With their uniforms and weapons, they're more like an invading force than a rescue. You aren't sure what this means for the colony, or for your future. As the dust settles, you rebuild your colony around this new ship, the heliopause. The new arrivals, soldiers mainly, are aloof at first. Many see you as fugitives. Together you build new walls, living quarters, greenhouses, and a massive bunkered garrison. The Stratos engineering wing is the only reminder of your old colony. The heliopause brought enough rations for another 5 years, as well as a rich seed bank and working hydroponics. Finally, an end to the slow starvation you've felt for years. They also have more guns and explosives than you've ever seen in your life. Even the ship has guns. A full stomach, a roof over your heads, and the promise of safety convinces most Strato colonists to accept the Helios. In turn, the Helios decide that you criminals pose little threat. A grudging peace is broken between the two groups. You decide they aren't so different, really. There are even Helio children born among the stars, just like you. After a month of hard work, you and your dad move into your new quarters, and you have your own bedroom for the first time in your life. You place a picture of your mother on the shelves beside your bed. You step out onto your very own balcony to watch the new colony, its grounds bustling with so many strangers and strange new ideas. Minus 100 stress, plus 5 colony defense. We're not starving anymore. We're not mourning anymore either. You feel something rising in your chest that you haven't felt in some time. Hope. Excitement. What will the new day bring? You'd better get out there and find out. Let's cautiously step outside. So, it feels like we're at the halfway point of the game. I may have said this in the first episode, but my understanding is the game runs for 10 in-game years, and we're now in year 5, I believe. We're 15 now. It'll end when we're 20. Feels like a lot's happened. And this feels like a good point to end this episode as well. It's very much the sort of closing of one chapter and the beginning of another one. And when we come back, we'll explore the New Look colony, talk to some people. There might be some new people to talk to. There might be some new activities to do, which is quite exciting as well. So we'll, when we come back next time, we'll check all that out. But thanks very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please do hit the like button on the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this playthrough. The story is certainly ramping up with each episode, I feel like. We've had our share of disasters, to put it mildly, but we'll see what happens from now. And subscribe to the channel as well. If you've not done so already, then, subscribe to Boring Dad Gaming and be around for more content like this. So thanks very much once again, and I hope to see you next time for more I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Bye for now.